Hello and welcome. Thanks for tuning in to Red State Blues. I'm Ben.
And I'm Melanie.
Yeah, we're back yet again for more punishment. Yep. No, I don't know. Obviously, if you're hearing this, you probably are hearing some newer music. So that is courtesy of Melanie here on the ukulele, which is a really amazing talent. How long have you been playing the ukulele for?
I learned the ukulele during the pandemic.
Yeah, so just a year or two, roughly, or
yeah.
actually 3 or 4 years, 4
like
years
that.
now. Yeah.
It wasn't the first year. I think it was like 2020.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the pandemic then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's awesome. So basically the music that I was using was from GarageBand, and for the intro, there is no issues with it, really, other than it was something that, like, we didn't actually create ourselves. And then now I'm actually posting this to YouTube. Well, I was posting it to YouTube before, but apparently the algorithm never caught it. So I'm doing anyway, I don't want to get into, like, the complicated mess of it, but how I'm posting it now to YouTube is different than before. There's, like, a special podcaster YouTube thing, and now the algorithm caught that apparently this was copyrighted. However, it's within fair use, because whatever music it is fine with us using it.
Yep.
But that just got me thinking, and Melanie thinking, that we needed to just kind of possibly do something a little different rather than having that hang over our heads forever. Yep. So as often as we want to do this podcast, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I just hopped on and learned some chords real quick.
You knew some chords, I think. So,
I did, but the progression, doing the progression is a little different.
Right.
Yeah. So, yep.
Anyway, that's one change, I guess, around here for this one. Yeah, I've changed some technical stuff like that. I'm thinking about changing maybe over to a different podcast hosting service. I don't know yet, though. We were with Anchor. Well, yep. Anchor existed for the longest time, and I was really kind of found that a little inspirational. There's like a community of podcasters, and a lot of people wanting to do it, and that's kind of where that came from. But then they got bought out by Spotify, which is, as everybody knows, is like this huge music industry giant that kind of just controls streaming. Yep. And I feel like Spotify is fine, but it feels like it's just been just downgrading, or the point of us, the possibility of us existing long term, I think on Spotify is probably not the greatest, because we get 20 listeners max,
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking for, I'm sure, tens of thousands of listeners. They're not looking to host just individuals and their little hobbies and projects and side projects and whatever, like we're doing.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm thinking about changing it. If anybody has any information about that, email us. Let us know. benandmelanieshow@gmail.com there. So, but if you have any information about where's a better place to host a podcast than Spotify, but right now, I mean, it's working. I want to really just kind of keep putting this out as often as we can.
Yep.
Today, I didn't really have any big long episode planned or anything like that.
Nope.
But there was a couple things I think we wanted to talk about a little bit. Anyway, what was that, Melanie?
Well, I just wanted to mention this because when we started the podcast, we were talking about the Oxford shooting. And there's been an update in the case. Ethan Crumbley was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole for killing 4 of his classmates and wounding others in 2021 Michigan school shooting.
That would have been in Oxford, Michigan. We talked a lot about at length, obviously, if you've been listening to this, about school shootings in general, but that one specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So he's doing life. That's not surprising. Yep. The whole. Right. The whole thing in this case, it's kind of a twist, I guess, if you will, which is totally fucked up, is his parents apparently were huge enablers, right?
Yep.
So
I'll
let you go.
They were definitely enablers with the whole getting the gun, the mom taking pictures of the kid with the gun and all kinds of stuff. And they're up on charges for manslaughter, and they just their lawyer's been arguing about letting the filming of. There's a film of the shooting that does not have any volume or noises or shooting noises or anything that the prosecutor wanted to play, and the defense said, oh no, that's going to impact the jury too much, and the judge just ruled that yes, they can play it because there's no noise. It's not meant to impact the jury emotionally as much because the sound isn't there. It's about identifying the shooter, what the shooter did with the gun, and
now this is at the trial for
the parents,
right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and they're still in jail from the sounds of it.
Yes.
In custody.
Yes,
whatever
they are
that
currently
means.
in custody. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. They haven't even been let out.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, everybody agrees. I think everybody agrees they're pretty much they're pieces of crap. But people most likely. But I don't know the whole story. I can't say. Honestly, I've been trying to adjust my opinions lately, not prejudge like so many on the internet are want to do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They just everybody just wants to prejudge everybody, and I don't know. I don't know the situation. Let the jury, their peers, convict them. I guess if they did anything wrong.
Well, in Ethan's trial, I just read an update on it. There was so much premeditatedness that they found documentation for, like how long he had planned it, that there was no way that it was. There were several times during that he could have stopped himself. He could have stopped and didn't do it. Yeah. So there's that. Anyways, when we hear about whether they are convicted or not, I will update you on the James and Jennifer Crumbley trial.
All right. Yeah, don't leave don't leave guns laying around your kids. Don't leave kids laying around your guns.
Yeah, that
Put those kids away. Keep those kids out of your house. Oh my God.
Get them away from the guns.
Get them away from your guns.
Yeah.
Guns take precedence here. Come on. Second Amendment, baby. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. That's not, I mean, at least, I will say this, at least they are being punished. I'm actually kind of happy in a way. Michigan does not have a death penalty, so we're not looking at death penalties in any of these cases. I feel like people should actually kind of have to live with what they did. Yep. So, anyway, especially in cases like this, it's like, dude, you just need to go away. I mean, you could argue that the death penalty is definitely, but anyway, as I've been reading and watching documentaries and listening to other podcasts, specifically, I know this is like everybody hates this guy, it seems like lately, but specifically I've been listening to a lot of Sam Harris. And he is one of the famous sort of from the early or mid-2000s new atheists, kind of, along with Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins. So I was like a big fan of those guys in the mid-aughts. Sam Harris wrote Letters to a Christian Nation back then. Anyway, he has a podcast now. You have to subscribe to listen to like the whole things. But he specifically was speaking about the justice system. That's kind of where I'm headed with this. He was specifically talking to Amanda Knox for a very long episode that he made free.
Remind me who she is?
Amanda Knox, that's right. I know. I'm getting there. Hold on. She is in 2007, she was apparently falsely accused of murdering her, or having her roommate murdered in some crazy plot in Italy. And she ended up going to prison for it. It was pretty brutal for years and years. She was convicted, everything. They got a confession out of her. But the truth of the matter is, they could really cops can get a confession out of anybody. Yep. For anything. Mm-hmm. If you're sleep deprived for long enough, I mean, you're gonna say whatever it takes. And she is a very articulate woman. She's out of prison now. She's married, has at least a kid anyway. And I think she started her own podcast, for that matter, actually. And I've listened to a little bit of that. But Sam Harris is the one I normally subscribe to. Anyway, he had like a 2-hour-long interview with her, and a lot of that was very, very, very insightful about the justice system, about like we all think we're going through life and we're like actually in control of our destiny or whatever, but like in reality we're not. Like wrong place, wrong time, man. It doesn't matter who you are or who you think you are. you're in Italy, you're having the time of your life. Boom, you're in the basement of a police department confessing to shit you never might have done. The whole sordid tale, though, there's a documentary about it. I believe on HBO or maybe Netflix. HBO or Netflix, one of the two anyway. I can't remember what it's called. It's just like a Minute Knox or something like that. Anyway, they interviewed her at great length. The prosecuting attorney in the case was a freaking lunatic who just basically just made up the craziest stuff you would read, like in a like almost out of a mystery novel, or like he apparently is like a big fan of novels and stuff. And it's just like it's like something made up. Like out of
like
it,
he was writing a true
like he was
crime
writing
novel.
a true crime novel, like about this whole sexual thing and all this stuff. But like she just honestly, I mean she's completely innocent, and there's evidence exonerating her. The courts did not care about any of that.
Nope.
They had evidence exonerating her within like 2 weeks. Like DNA evidence. Like it did not matter at all. That train was already pulled out of the station, and they were going ahead, and it was like a huge international case and a huge international story.
And it was very much pressurized by the public.
The the journalists involved were pretty atrocious too. Mm-hmm. At the time, they were pressurized. They were completely putting pressure on everybody and everything in the case, blowing it up, making it huge. Like they interviewed the tabloid journalist who like wrote a lot of the main headlines about her and all this, like Foxy Noxy and all this stuff like that. Like he wrote that. Yeah. Like he made it up. He was proud of it. Mm-hmm. Like he just is like anything to sell another headline to sell another paper. Career. That made his career. You know, like he was completely out in the open about it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's worth to listen to Sam Harris's podcast. I think he's very insightful. I don't pay for membership in his Sam Harris Club or whatever, but I don't know. Maybe it's worth it to do that. I guess it's not that much in the grand scheme of things, but so I don't get like all the podcasts, but at least that one there, the Amanda Knox interview, is actually like a 2-hour long one. You can listen to the whole thing. So that anyway, I just thought that relates. I hate anymore to judge people so harshly. Even this Oxford cases, these guys, this mom and dad who had left their gun out and bought him a gun, and he's crazy and everything. But like, I don't know what they went through. I don't know their shoes. I don't know their stories. You know what I mean? It's so, the justice system can be so misled and so warped, like so easily, and it can just like, it's hard to even like put it back together. I think there's another documentary about a horrible miscarriage of justice too. Actually, it's in a miniseries. I can't even remember. Mm-hmm. It's called the Central Park Five, though, right?
Right. Yep.
Or it's about the Central Park Five.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's about 5 men who were completely innocent, right? In like what was it, 1989 or something like that, being picked up and arrested for a rape and murder that they did not commit.
Yep.
So on a white lady, they just happened to be there, and there you go. So yeah, it's anyway. I've been, that's myself. That's my own personal viewpoint and journey, I guess. So yeah, go ahead.
I think the shock of it, the justice system not working, is more shocking to people with white privilege.
Yes.
Because I think people with white privilege, especially like middle class people with white privilege, really believe in the systems we have. So they really believe that justice is being served. People that are in jail are supposed to be there. And then when they get caught in it, when something happens and they didn't do it and they got caught in it because they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, then it's like a whole shock and it ruins their lives. Yeah. And I think that minorities in this country are way used to this.
No, absolutely. I think you're right. I think Amanda Knox is a pretty good example of white privilege. You know, she was spending a year in Italy, you know what I mean, going to college or whatever. She had a British roommate. She had like all this awesome boyfriend that she was with over there and everything like that. She had just like this awesome life, really, kind of, until this just completely destroyed. It did destroy her life, really. And yeah, so that's why it was a bigger shocker for somebody like that.
I almost feel like prison was horrible, but I feel like the media was worse. I feel like the public shaming, because she can't go anywhere without being recognized.
Yeah, she said that, like that she talks a lot about other people now, how she can see what happens when you're famous or infamous, really, it would be, through the media and through journalism and through tabloids, and how, like, your jail term, as soon as the moment you get out of prison, that's when your prison sentence really starts.
Right.
Because guess what? They're going to camp out in front of your house. Like, it's just never ending.
Yep.
You know, it's just like, you don't want to be
picking the bones.
Yeah, they will go after you and everybody you know. You know what I mean? It's pretty brutal. Some of the stuff she said. So
it's sort of similar as far as the media frenzy and the way that they were treated as that woman, Monica Lewinsky.
Monica Lewinsky
she got
is
treated
another
like
really
that.
good example of that.
Yeah.
She basically didn't do it wrong, honestly, and she paid the ultimate price of being turned into a human joke.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's
Which
just like,
is horrible.
Jesus fuck. You know, like, what is there wrong with us?
She is a person.
Yeah. Yeah, she is. She gave a TED Talk, I want to say, like 4 or 5 years ago. I can't even remember. But I mean, yeah, she's very, very intelligent, very articulate. It would not surprise me if she has all kinds of... She probably has a book, even. I don't even know. But
and then you have Gamergate, how the women were treated during that. And then you
Yeah.
also have... we need to get a hold of ourselves a little bit as a society, because, like, there are other places in the world where they actually have developed, like, apps to rate you on how good or bad of a person you are, and people can thumbs up or thumbs down, and then it affects your entire life.
Well,
basically.
I mean, yeah, if you're a
Shaming,
business or something, right? I mean, that was an episode of Black Mirror. I remember that, like 4 or 5 years ago.
But
too.
it kind of
like,
is that way.
It is
on social media.
China has a social media rating where you rate people.
That's what I was talking about.
I guess, and like
China.
I don't think that we're there quite yet. But I mean, yeah, if you're your own business, you're pretty much there. Yeah.
But the attitude behind that are here.
Yeah, the attitude.
People are crucifying other people all the time.
Yeah.
You made one mistake when you were 16 years old, and somebody took a picture of it, put it on the internet. You can't live it down.
You're not wrong about it being harder for women specifically too, because look at Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
Right.
He did a lot of crazy stuff when he was in college, right? He was just like a party animal or whatever, and then he was like in tears before Congress before he, you know what I mean? And then everybody's like, oh, we feel bad for him, but a lot of women don't get that.
Nope.
They could be in tears being like, I did something bad. It's just like, nope, then they're not going to get the job. No, but he still got the job.
Yep.
That was all my point was. People are like, oh, poor guy. He just had fun like everybody. He's just a good old guy.
He's a good old boy.
Good old guy. He's a
good old boy, man.
Yeah, he's just a good guy.
Yeah.
You know, you did lots of drugs and drank a lot in college. And whatever, who doesn't, right? Yeah.
But if a woman does that,
if a woman, oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's a record of it now, which there always is on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, on wherever. Yeah. Oh my dear God. Good luck becoming a Supreme Court justice.
And we talk about bullying with our kids so much all the time. Like, parents are trying to teach their kids about the internet and internet safety and social media safety and everything because of bullying so bad, and it causes suicides.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, we're treating other people, adults, like this. It's ridiculous.
Pitchforks.
Yeah, it's pitchforks.
Yeah, I noticed that the more responsible Facebook groups and Reddit threads, subreddits really, they kind of moderate those. They try to kick people off for doxing, which is like giving out the person's in question's personal information.
Yep.
They kick people off for attacking people for any reason, really, like anything that causes, or for making fun of people who committed suicide, for making fun of things like that, for taking it lightly. But
and I'm not saying in the 80s,
not all of them are responsible at all. When you go into 4chan, it's just a clusterfuck. They like get off on that. So it's anyway.
I'm not saying that in the 80s people didn't bully people or pick on people in person, but like eventually it wore down. Like it wasn't consistently over and over and over again, or spread so far and wide by the internet.
Yeah, the infamy thing is real.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, the infamy thing can be real, and the internet kind of perpetuates it, maybe in a way. However, a lot of these people we're talking about were kind of like Monica Lewinsky, obviously this current era of age. And man, actually, really, 2007 was before this too. I mean, the first iPhone came out in 2007.
Yep.
So I mean, like that's this pre-smartphone era. So I mean, those are people that are kind of giving people, maybe they're kind of giving us all lessons of things not to do that we did back in those days. And it's time to knock that shit off. Yeah. But, holy criminy. Sorry, that got me going on quite a tangent. Actually, I'm trying to remember if there anything else we wanted to talk about today, actually. Or did we want to just, well, you know what, let's take a little break, and then we'll be back. Okay.
The next thing we wanted to mention is about the Chevron case. So there's a case called the Chevron case in front of the Supreme Court right now. The Chevron case was decided, it was Chevron versus National Resource Defense Council. In 1984, the Supreme Court made an innocuous decision in Chevron versus National Resources Defense Council, deeming that in cases where Congress leaves ambiguities in statutes, courts should defer to executive agencies' interpretations of the law so that interpretation is reasonable. So right now it's in front of the Supreme Court, and the appointees, Trump's appointees,
Kavanaugh and Gorsuch,
Kavanaugh,
right?
yeah. They are leading the attack on the Chevron decision, which says that when laws aren't crystal clear, federal agencies and the experts that serve in them should be allowed to fill in the details, and they think that it should not be that basically they want it to be centralized.
Well, what it is, I think that they're going to leave each agency. What currently, right? They have to like do for whatever's the best for America. Mm-hmm. That's like the directive for each agency. I mean, the president appoints the head of each agency,
right?
But they still have to try to do what's best. Apparently, this is going to say that they get to decide on their own. Each agency will be like, we're going to decide how this goes, really. We're not going to say, like, clean water really is clean water this year. We're going to say it's whatever, we want to say. And that does give the president a lot more power. Mm-hmm. So if he wants to, pretty much put in some sort of industry shill into a regulatory body, mm-hmm. Then he can easily do that. And they'll say, like, no, we don't have to do whatever is best for the American public. We're going to do what's best for business.
Yep.
So we don't have to have these clean water or clean air standards apply to this part of the economy or to this, type of industry or whatever we're regulating. Now, I mean, obviously they still could probably do that or whatever, but it would technically be illegal if they were doing it. So This is attempting to sue to change that. So actually, I was even, me and Melanie were talking earlier, but I think that this is going to cause a significant more, I'm sure this is probably going to get overturned, right? So this is probably going to happen with the current Supreme Court. And this is going to cause a lot more instability, though, mm-hmm. in our market-based economy, where I actually feel like it's going to depend greatly on the president, who, you know what I mean? So 1 year, Trump will get elected, and all the business leaders will be overjoyed, and all the regulatory bodies they'll just be like, no, we're not doing anything. We'll let you do whatever you want. It's best for business, so we're just going to do that. But then they're not thinking of the next election down the road. Of course, if there is a next election, that one would hope. But they're not thinking down the road, though. Whoever's in power next could be another FDR. Mm-hmm. And what if he puts people in power in those agencies to specifically take down the industries? Because guess what? They're not looking out for what's best for the economy or what's best for America or what's best for whatever anymore. They're looking out for fuck you. You know what I mean? I got friends. What if I have friends, doing something else that don't like this? What if I'm a socialist? I wouldn't think business leaders would like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I think that obviously there's not any chance of that happening. But I could actually see corruption really reigning supreme, though, especially if you have friends in another segment of the same industry, they want to take down a specific, then it's just going to be completely used as a tool to take down their competitors. Yeah, it's just going to be a disaster and a mess.
It's going to be a disaster for climate change policies.
Yeah.
Pollution.
Unfortunately, you're right.
For safe water, safe air.
It'll work fine as long as the president is all about that, but then if the president's not, then they just have pretty much power to just completely roll it back. Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty much insane. Yeah. But anyway, that's the way the world's headed. So yay.
Yep. So they're expecting a decision at the end of the summer.
Yeah, I know. It'll take forever.
It'll be a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
right before the election.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yep. Just to get they're hoping. I'm sure they're planning on Trump winning this election and handing these new powers right to him, pretty much on a silver platter.
Yep.
It's like, here, you got power over every single agency to direct them how you see fit. So anyway, I don't think that. I actually think his chances are less likely than what we think, but that's just my opinion of the whole situation. I don't think that people are. I think a lot of people that they pulled, whatever the polls even mean now, like are just kind of like mad at Biden because they think Biden hasn't done enough. Like has not done enough student loan forgiveness. Is doing too many war related things, in the Middle East specifically, and then also they're just mad at him. You know what I mean? But then if Trump was president, he would have nuked Gaza day one. Good grief, get over yourselves. What do you think he's gonna do? He's a viable alternative. No, he's not.
No,
he's not gonna be anti-war. Good God, he's gonna pull back our support from Ukraine. But he would actually send in American troops just somewhere like Gaza. I mean, so what are you kidding? He wants to see Russia win. Yeah, I'm not denying that. He doesn't give a crap about anyway. Whatever.
He's ridiculous.
What? Sorry. What were you gonna say? I'll stop monologuing at you.
Yeah, that's all right. It was just making me remember the Phil Collins video from the 80s of the puppet of Reagan. Figuring out whether it was nuke or not nuke, and he was like, I don't know, I'm going to push nuke. And then, and I'm like, I'm having deja vu.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Boy, that's bizarre.
Yeah.
People like voting for the nostalgia. I think, really.
And another thing, too, Trump has been really fumbling his words a lot lately and not making any sense.
He gets
more than normal.
More than normal, yes, but he gets free pass. He just does. He just doesn't matter. He won the election. He has one coming up in New Hampshire, I think, but he won the one in Iowa handily. It wasn't even a question. He basically controls the Republican Party, which is too bad for anybody who's Republican and right of center slightly. Because they're probably not happy. And I'm sure they're probably that's the thing. They're going to end up voting for Biden. I think that's where Biden has the advantage right there. And those people that are slightly right of center, they don't want to vote for Trump, man. And they don't want to vote for they don't want to vote for Cornel West either. You know what I mean? They're not going to vote for somebody who's going to dismantle the military industrial complex. So you got to try to get to the sweet spot here. Right. It's very difficult to do. But I really think Biden still has the advantage.
I want to remind everybody of what it was like before. It did not feel stable. There were tweets coming out of the White House all the time. We never knew what was going to happen the next morning or whatever, and it was so big of a change when Biden got into office.
Yeah.
That it was like,
it's pointless.
What stability
It's completely pointless, too. I mean, I want to blame Trump for everything, but it's almost pointless. You can't go back in time. You can blame him for the pandemic and blame him for all kinds of mismanagement and misleadership and messed up stuff. But it's like, you know what? Fuck it. It doesn't matter. It happened. A million people died. It happened. But dear God, why the hell are we just repeating? What do people think is going to happen again?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do they think? And you know what the real problem is, though, is he's using populism, and they're kind of right as far as Biden has not gone far enough. People are hurting. People are freaking hurting, man. Poor. They fucking don't have opportunities, right? They have a lot of issues.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And mental health issues, as well as just simply financial issues. And I don't know how to turn that. That's a hard. It's hard to right that ship, turn that ship back around. I think Biden is doing his damnedest though to try to undo basically the last 40 years of complete dismantling of our entire society, industrial society, the welfare society, just every single good thing that we have. You know what I mean? I think that the Republicans have been attempting to dismantle it for the last all of our lives. Biden is trying to right the ship, but it's I feel like the ship is about ready to capsize. You know what I mean? It's just it's turned into a tug of war, and now it's the thing is so out of whack and so effed up. People are so miserable sometimes.
And
it's
I have heard a lot of people claim to be libertarians and all kinds of stuff. Republicans say that, well, this system's a swamp, and this and that, it's a swamp, and there's a bunch of people, and it's corrupt, and blah, blah, blah. So they want to get rid of it and dismantle it. Okay, so let's bring this down to a local issue. Let's pretend that the national issue is a local issue. I don't like this. This is all. So you're not going to have firemen. You're not going to have police officers. You're not going to have roads you can drive in. You're not going to have safe water you can drink.
Yeah.
Your kids won't have a school to go to because you're dismantling everything.
And that's the fantasy. It is like some sort of weird
Are you trying to punish yourself?
Little House on the Prairie fantasy. And maybe even he was crazy. Maybe they were crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were doing out there on the prairie, running around like that. But that's like the fantasy though of some of these people. They just like believe they can be completely off the grid, completely independent. They don't need no roads. They don't need a fire department. They don't need police. They don't need any protection. They can protect themselves. You know what I mean? But that's great until you have a stroke, or until something actually bad happens.
And it isn't Little House on the Prairie anymore. You can't go to the local creek and drink out of it. You'll kill yourself.
I know.
Yeah, I know. There's so much pollution. Good luck with that. You're
just
not
be
self-sufficient. Admit
plastic
it.
or something.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, you can't do that. I mean, they just found out there's like
microplastics
millions of microplastics in water, bottled water.
Yeah,
in all
much.
water. Yeah.
I mean, you
and
can't.
We got it in our bodies
it's in the
now.
air even. You can't get away from it. It's killing everybody now, probably. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That's just an absolute fantasy. That's the worst fantasy to have, actually. It needs to be. We need to look at ourselves as all a big human village. I do think that means that the left has to give some too here. The left has to settle a bit too. The left has to say, hey, I've been trying to, like I said, modify. I'm trying not to be hard left. You know what I mean? I've been really trying hard to modify some of my views. We have to just agree to disagree, on certain things. It's not everything is right for everybody. Not everybody has to do things the same way. But I think that the big part that makes the West better than some other types of systems is the freedom to disagree and not have an authoritarian type of system, which is, I think, the temptation of the people on the right now, because they're really falling out of favor and falling out of power, and they're losing it, and it does actually kind of feel like they're grasping. They're using Trump to grasp onto power, and if they lose power permanently or for a long period of time, like they might. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. We have to take what they think into consideration. We can't just outlaw all guns. You know what I mean? That's a stupid thing to do anyway, I think, in the United States. You know what I mean? But we could have some minor gun laws, just some gun control measures, like background checks and things like that. That just makes sense. But no one should take away anybody's Second Amendment rights. I've even been a proponent of that at just different times in my life. But depending on the context of the situation. But dang it, it's just not going to happen. So let's just kind of try to learn to live together here. That's how I feel. But I don't know. There has to be a way. People can do it. And I think maybe a lot of it people always have. They can disagree without murdering each other, except during the Civil War, of course, which was about slavery, which is kind of justifiable, actually, to murder people over, keeping human slaves. But go ahead.
The biggest problem is that everyone thinks they don't have a voice. This is what the problem is with a lot of these people that have really sunk their teeth and nails into the following Trump. They feel like they're not getting any attention. They're not being heard. They don't feel like their votes are worth anything. And so they believe in this loudmouth guy that says that he's going to give them the world. And the thing of it is they don't realize is that they do have the power. You can talk to people. You can make small changes in your community. You can write letters to your president. There's all kinds of things you can do to make change. We fell into that trap into the 90s. I mean, everybody was apathetic, didn't believe in voting anymore. And what did that do for us? Nothing. You need to get up. You need to dust yourself off. Dust off your computer. If you have something to say, tell your representative.
Yeah.
That is how this is supposed to work. And that way everyone has a voice. And then the person that was elected, regardless of their party, represents all of the people.
Right.
So that's...
Yeah, that's true. Let them know how you feel, no matter what party they are.
The other
No
thing I
matter
want
what
to
party you are.
Right.
You know.
And the other thing
Nope.
is these people aren't leaders without the people underneath them. So basically, if you stand up and say, I don't like this, and change the way you're voting so that you vote for somebody that will do the things that you want, that will make the changes in your life better. The little people.
Yeah.
Remember the little people instead of the big businesses. Remember your small business in your community.
Yeah.
Because laws for that and a corporation are different.
Yeah, I think actually that's part of what the people on the right have a point sometimes, I think, and I hate even getting into this, but like I don't even like getting into this very much, but I know I think we have before, but I think they have a point sometimes when it comes to cancel culture and stuff like that. A little bit, the left does seem to get, at least on college campuses anyway, a bit freaking ridiculous, and it's just like, good effing God, stop. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like, it comes right up to like, what are you like denying the Holocaust now? Like, come on, you know, like just stop it. You know, like, and I don't even know where the far left is what they're even doing. Like, I think that maybe my age is definitely dating me here, and maybe I go back and forth all the time on everything. I change my mind, a lot. But I do feel like there is actually merit to having freedom of speech, like what we're doing right now, having these discussions and having the ability to talk. Like, we couldn't do this in like Russia without fear for our life.
And
you know what I mean? Like, it was like that. I don't know how you can argue that is not a better system.
You should be able to be a professor or a leader of a college and be able to say whatever
the hell you want. If you're a professor,
and not feel like you have to kowtow and say what the public wants you to say.
They fired a professor. I can't even think of his name right now. Man, that pissed me off. They fired a professor in Big Rapids.
Yeah,
who was a history professor for swearing too much. Mm-hmm. For swearing too much. Good fucking God. You know what I mean? They should not. That he literally was quoting Deadwood to his students. Mm-hmm. The show. You know what I mean?
And it went over their head.
And they fired his ass.
Yep.
Which is completely, obviously, apparently, he was taking a risk, I guess, by doing that. I don't even think that.
And I know
that would have never been a risk when I was in college.
Right.
I had professors that would.
Yeah.
No one would have even. So I don't even get that. But
and I can understand, like, in private businesses, you can have your own rules of what you want people to say for your business and the public, and I get that. But when you're... College is supposed to be the one place where you can have all the ideas
really
present.
Express yourself.
Read everything.
You could do
so that you can
whatever,
make up your own mind.
Yep.
Think critically about everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. You shouldn't shut down stuff.
You need to get.
I mean, even stuff I don't like.
Horrible idea to shut down.
Yeah.
To fire that. I think they fired him or forced him to retire or whatever it was. But I mean, he was a tenured professor. That's just uncalled for. That's the left doing that. That was completely outrageous.
Yep.
And then I think that what you have on a more national scale then is when you had the heads of these major universities going before Congress much more recently here. Mm-hmm. And they couldn't even like say that like hating Jewish people was bad. Like it's just like whoa, we've gone through the looking glass here. People now they're paying the political price for that.
Right.
I mean, it was kind of a political attack on them, but they failed that test badly, and they didn't know, I think, outside the context of academia, how to properly answer some questions like that, which is sad, which is very, very sad. But I believe that, well, actually, the president of Harvard, she got, that really bugs me too. She got in trouble for plagiarism. It's like, are you fucking serious? Like, as an undergraduate, me and you both, we were both, like, they would have crucified us for plagiarizing. It was such a huge deal. They jammed it into us. Like, we never, I wouldn't even dream of doing that.
No.
And the fact that the president of Harvard apparently did do that, I'm like, what the fuck? It kind of makes me think she's kind of a hack job to begin with, apparently.
Well,
but,
that kind of goes back to what we were talking about previously about, like, Brett Kavanaugh getting to do whatever he wants and getting the job, and people in upper classes get to do whatever they want. Sort of like if you're a parent of an upper class kid, you can just buy your way into the fancy schools, and your kid can just cheat their way all the way through, and it's fine. The rules are for the regular public.
Yeah. Yeah,
Same
for
as
just
the
if you don't
Justice
have a
Department.
family name, if you don't have, some rich uncle paying for everything or whatever it is
Yeah.
that you need to have to go there. Yeah, yeah, exactly. You're right. If you're just John Doe or whatever, you ain't getting shit. You plagiarize. You're going to like college jail.
Yeah.
But if you're some, it's like it's
It's
funny.
like, yeah, it's like the justice system. It's meant for the lower classes, the middle classes, and
That's
lower
the thing.
classes.
They fall into it.
If you have $1 million, do you think like
Yeah,
if Elon Musk did something wrong, like he murdered somebody,
nothing would happen
would
to him.
anything happen to him? No.
He would litigate it for the rest of his life, and he could
Yep.
afford to. He could just afford to hire lawyers to just keep
He'd
it
be like
going
throwing
and going
a quarter
and going
at
and going
somebody
and
with
going.
his
Yep.
amount of money.
You're right. It would with his.
So
yes.
basically, there is it's
You're not wrong. Actually, you're absolutely not wrong. The whole justice system. After listening to Amindex talk more and more, I'm like, the whole Western version of our justice system does need to be kind of rethought.
Yep.
Maybe it shouldn't, whatever the case may be, maybe it shouldn't be so punitive.
Right.
I guess maybe they should be focusing
And
at least on more rehabilitation.
And we could do a whole podcast on that, on how our
but
system has grown and grown and grown, and how it's become a monetary system in the prison
Well,
system.
yeah, it's there to provide
Money maker,
jobs.
yeah.
It's there to provide, but you can still provide jobs. Give people social work degrees and
Rehabilitate people.
have them talk to the prisoners and stuff more, and have them like help them through their issues. And
Yep.
I'm not saying that like. I know there's always violent prisoners, and you're going to have violent sections of our prison where you can't have anybody. I'm not saying you're going to be able to get rid of all prisons, but I think there's a hell of a lot of non-violent drug-related type people in there. And I mean, I know they're letting out. They have let out most of the marijuana people. Thank God. But I mean, like. Come on, you like have people who went to prison for like crack cocaine and stuff like that for like huge amounts of time. Like, give me a break. Come on, the fuck is that? Anyway, sorry, Ben rant there. Didn't mean to go off on a thing. Yeah, this went a little longer than I anticipated. Anyway, the Lions are doing very, very well. So I hear. I am not a sports person. But Detroit, apparently, I guess according to everything everybody says, this is like the furthest the Detroit Lions have gotten in the playoffs and everything since 1992 or 91 or something, like way, way back, 30 years ago. So this is a huge, huge day. This is a Sunday. This is Sunday the 21st, and they're apparently playing Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I guess.
Yep.
So, yeah, anyway, I don't know anything about football at all, but it might be worth a watch if you're
Go
listening
Lions.
to this. Yeah. I don't know. So, yeah.
Yep.
I think that's probably what we're going to do for the rest of our day. So, but thank you for listening. Really, thanks a lot for tuning in. Really appreciate it. You know, 5 to 20 people, depending on the episode. It goes up and down. But
And
yes.
please comment
Well,
or email us if you have questions or...
Yeah, I actually appreciate constructive criticism, I guess. But I don't appreciate people I don't appreciate trolls. I'll put it that way. I know people that's a thing that people do. I need to probably just, my solution to that is I don't engage. I'm not doing this to make money. I'm not doing this to increase engagement on the algorithm or whatever. So I'm doing
We're doing this for fun,
For
man.
fun and shits and giggles.
Yep.
So I don't have a need to respond to every single person who completely disagrees with me. I'm sorry. So, which I know everybody can do. Fine. You don't have to listen. That's fine. This is just an optional exercise here.
But
for
respectful discourse
So,
is fine. So
Yeah.
And if you have any, things you think we should
Look-
talk about, email us at Ben and Melanie Show.
Especially any technical expertise, I would be happy for it. We only have one microphone right now between the two of us. It probably doesn't sound as good as it used to. One of my microphones apparently it broke a while back, and I tried to fix it and I couldn't. It just does pure static whenever you plug it in. It doesn't do anything. And so there's other things I probably could actually spend time making better on this pod. I could spend more time in the editing process. I could spend more time, doing a lot of stuff. But honestly, like I said, this is kind of for shits and giggles. So, yeah, go ahead.
Let us know what you think of the music change.
Yeah. Let us know what you
Any
think
pointers
of Melanie's
there will be helpful.
ukulele by Melanie. Pretty badass, I think. yeah, that's a lot more than I could do on the ukulele, that's for sure. So, Melanie is very, very musical. So
Yeah, it's one of my things.
oh yeah, we finally also before we go to one last thing, we finally got around to watching
Killers of the Flower
Killers of the Flower Moon. Yeah, so great movie, really depressing 3 hours or however long that was. But Martin Scorsese is a freaking genius, and I love pretty much every single myself. This is just an opinion. Some people hate him. I love him. I love every single thing he makes, and I think he's just pretty much awesome.
The one thing I wish that I liked the movie, but I wish that they would have went from the native family's point of view more than her husband.
I actually think that I thought that was a pretty genius way of doing it, though. You know, without spoiling the movie. Maybe I'll spoil the movie here. Well, spoilers. I guess if you go any further than this, then it's your fault. But I thought it was pretty genius that it was all from his perspective, and you were kind of like, oh yeah, he's just doing his thing. He's fine. He's just. Then you're like, oh, he is a piece of fucking shit human. Oh my fucking god. The fuck is wrong with it? But all the things that he did to justify it in his head, you're kind of like understanding in a way because it's a very human, you know, he's just like, I was like, no, I'm just doing what my uncle said to do. I'm not really, you know, I didn't do anything wrong here. We're just, you know, here, you know, we do just one thing, you know, we're just trying to get ahead and everything like everybody else. And she just has to take her medicine. My uncle just told me to take it. You know, it's just like, oh my fucking God. Like, it's just, and he's pretty much fucking asshole. Mm-hmm. But like, yeah. Anyway.
I felt like that the minute he got off the train.
I know.
I knew what was going to happen.
I knew.
But I also knew about
where
this.
they were headed with it too. It was just I guess I like that it was indirect.
Yeah.
So essentially, Molly was really the main character. Mm-hmm. But what was so tragic about it was that, like, you know, like they like how he described it at the end. It's just she just has a tombstone. She died in like what 37 or something. And just doesn't say anything. It's just like didn't say what she died of or anything like that. She just died. She had like a very undistinguished. And all those other assholes like lived and like told their stories and like lived in the 40s. And we're all like, and it's just like, what the fuck, you know?
Her life
like, they
was
even got out of prison.
Shortened by the crap they were injecting
her
with.
Oh yeah, whatever the hell poison they were putting in her. Yeah. So, yep. Yeah. Anyway, that was a fucking good movie though. But yeah, it was.
And I will say that Miss Gladstone's acceptance speech was the most amazing thing. I'm glad that she brought up that it's amazing now to see actual Native stories being told by Native people, which is really cool.
Yeah.
They had a big amount of
huge sea change,
speaking, you know, being able to guide Mr. Scorsese in that. So that was really cool. Mm-hmm. The other really cool thing is watching Echo is pretty awesome too.
Yeah, Echo is a Marvel show, which is apparently somehow divisive now, according to internet, which is insane.
I think it's racist.
I watched one review and it calls it a dud, and the next review says it's the best thing ever. Yeah. So I don't know, it's all over, but I like it. It's a very good Marvel show. If you like superhero stuff, you'd probably like it. Violent superhero stuff specifically. So really it's meant for fans of The Punisher.
Yeah.
Meant for fans of Daredevil.
Yep.
Meant the seedy underbelly of the Marvel Universe. Mm-hmm. Not really so much for the Avengers. Not for kids.
No, don't let kids watch it.
Not a kids show. Yeah. So super violent there. But
it's really cool to see.
Very good.
Yep. Yeah.
I love the actor who plays Wilson Fisk. So I can't think of his name right now. Kevin D'Onofrio, is that his name? He's like this big, huge, bald supervillain guy named Kingpin, and he's great. He's one of the best villains I feel like in the Marvel universe by far, and the actor that plays him is just amazing. He was in Full Metal Jacket a long time ago. There, if anybody's ever seen that. Which I would hope that you would have. Full Metal Jacket's a great movie. Anyway, yeah, he was in that, and now he plays this just He has this crazy freaking eyes, and it's just like, whoa, he's a good actor. Anyway, and demeanor.
He looks very calm on the
Very-
surface, but like he's gonna kill you. Also,
Yeah, I
It's
like
crazy.
He does. He looks like a freaking killer. Yeah, he really, really does.
And
Yeah,
Echo has trauma eyes. Like
Yeah.
she has been seriously traumatized, and also, like, but she's a killer too. She can
Yeah.
be. She is calm and quiet because she,
Oh yeah. These
She ticks a lot of
That's what I
boxes.
mean. These are the
Yeah.
Marvel. These are the Marvel characters that are definitely not afraid of. They're on the line between villain and whatever good guy. So it's like they have
Yep.
to make a choice. Kind
Yep.
of. That's
Yeah.
that's the point of this
Yep.
season of this show. Is like she has to decide, kind of. I think, but yeah.
Yep.
Anyway,
Check it out.
Yeah, check out that if you're into interesting fiction. What else is anything? Yeah, I think we should say adieu.
Baba P. Guabaman.
Yeah, Bama P. Guabaman. Try to. That's what I think we should say something like, try to like get along with the other side or something like every time. What do you think? I don't know. Like I was thinking about like that. Like we should just like everybody try to hear both points of view. Try to not disagree with not disagree. You can disagree. Try to not disagree violently. I'll put it that way. What do you think?
Go back to discourse with each other.
Discourse, yeah, that's what you want. Yeah.
Calm, intelligent discourse. Mm-hmm. You'll change more minds that way than you will screaming and yelling at each other.
Yeah. Gosh, I just read some study about that too, actually, that was saying that like it is actually good to engage with people, actually, even if they're going to disagree with you.
Yep.
But don't expect them to necessarily change their mind. But yeah.
It doesn't matter who you're talking to, what race they are, what color they are, what creed they are, what monetary thing is. There's basics like surviving, having food, having a place to stay. Those kind of topics you can talk about with somebody, and then that can open the door to more ideas.
Yeah, you're right.
Start there. Or I really want my kids to be safe and educated. That is everybody.
You think everybody does want that?
Yep.
They just have different views on how to get that.
Yep.
I think
Right.
So, but
We're all human.
mm-hmm.
Don't outgroup people.
Yep, that's true. All right, Bumblebee Guabaman.
Stop messing it up. Mama P. Guabaman.
Guabaman.
Guabaman. Oh my gosh.
Well, we'll see you next time.